are going to take a look at how to create a mouse. So first of all, as you are doing your picture taking, again, it's best to take pictures from all sides. So in this case, you'll be seeing a top view and a side view, and if you can, a front view and a back view would be beneficial, would help as well. But however, right now I have the top and the side, so this is just I'm just gonna make use of this to create the model. Now, a couple of things after you take a picture, just kind of make sure that you have to realign it in Photoshop. Okay, so if I were to put these lines here, you can roughly tell that they are almost at the same alignment. Okay, based on the front, the back. But of course, this is not going to be 100%, especially if you look at the location of the whale, right? So it's not going to be 100%, and we are just going to be do what we can with the images, okay? And aside from that, one thing to take note is that as you do or align your images, make sure that all this, let's say the top view is going to take up, a square. Okay, if you can tell, I have actually set up a 1000 by 1000 pixels for the width and height, so that when I click here, it's just going to automatically select the top image. Likewise, you can tell that the images are aligned at the center already. Okay, so these are some of the things that you need to take note of as you set up your reference images for modeling. Okay, so I'm just gonna close this. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to do is we can tap the space bar, and we are going to put a image plane at the top view. So again, view, okay, under the top, I'm going to go to view, image plane, import image. Okay, so I'm just going to copy the location. Okay, so I have the top view here. Alright, and the next thing is the front of the side view. Okay, this is side view. So again, view, let's see, image plane, import image, and side view. Okay. Okay, so some things that you can just kind of make sure that they are correct. So in this case, perhaps what I want is maybe switch this around. So I can even remove it and say maybe I'm just going to put it on the front view. So import image again. Okay. So just kind of make sure that they line up. So this is likely to move up a little bit. And again, it is always fine that it's not going to be 100% as mentioned. Okay, so the next thing that I would always prefer to do is just to move it across. Okay, so I'm just going to snap to grid. Okay, so that it gives me some space in the middle, and I'm going to bring this all the way down as well. Okay, maybe somewhere there. Okay, so once I'm okay with that, I'm just going to select the two image planes, and I'm going to create layer from selected. Okay, if you recall what from the scissors, this is how we are going to make sure that we don't select the image planes by mistake. So I'm just going to name this image plane layer. Okay, save it, and set this to reference. So on the third button here, T and R. Okay, T for transparent, R for reference. So now if I want to select them, they couldn't be selected. So at the same time, really because this is quite small, so what I would usually prefer to set up is make this a little bigger. Okay, so maybe I'm just going to set this as 3 times the size. Okay, and I'm going to move this down again. Alright. Okay, set this back to reference. Okay, so and if this thing is too close, okay. So tap your, again, you can just tap mouse over your top right, which is your perspective, and tap the spacebar to get into the full screen. Or you can click on this button here. Okay, this is a if you click on it, it will just skip there, or you can also click on this. At times you might, make mistakes in, creating or having some weird forms of screen mode, perspective mode, or the viewport mode. You can easily switch that. Okay. So again, you can just click on here to make the switches. Alright, so first thing that we are going to do is if we go to the front view, this is how this thing's going to look like. So you can tell there's a shape coming off here, right? So essentially I could potentially have a very long creating a cube, and then from there I kind of elongate it and then increase the divisions to create the form. Okay, so let's just do that and see what happens. So I'm just gonna increase this, maybe not so much. A width, and I'm gonna turn off the snap. Okay, I'm gonna bring it down, and of course you can use your X-ray. So go to View, and we are gonna under Shading, there's X-ray. Okay, so this is gonna help us. So I'm just gonna put it right there. Again, I'm not looking for precision. Okay, so later on we can always create the necessary details for those information. Okay, so maybe the height, let me just decrease that. Okay, somewhere there. And then I'm gonna go to the top view. Okay, so top view. And I'm gonna increase the depth. Okay, to somewhere there. And the depth divisions, I'm gonna say set it to 2. Okay, so that I have a middle line here, so that if I can just work on one side and then later on I can just flip it over. Okay, so having said that, I'm just gonna go back to the side view and increase the subdivisions here. Okay, so 12 is a good number for me to work on. Alright, so you can tell that there's more than enough to kind of to do this. Okay, so once I have this, because I'm just going to pull this all the way up, right, so I don't really need to worry too much about it. So in this case, I would have completed my setup in terms of the base shape. So again, go back to the front view. Okay, now I'm going to go to my vertex, and I'm going to select all these vertices here and use the move tool. Okay, move tool, and move them up. Right, so so again, I'm just following this shape first. Okay. And I'm just doing it from the back. Oops. Okay, so from here I can just kind of look at it and move it accordingly. Okay, to something like that. And let me just do a quick check on here as well. And I think this is totally fine. And if I want to bend it, of course I can. Okay, and likewise for this one here, I'm just going to move it over there and maybe move it down a little bit. Okay, and for this end here, again, like I said, we are not looking for precision. So whatever estimates that you think best suits the model, that is totally fine. Okay, so right. Okay, so from here, I will have something like that, and kind of going back to the top view, then I can start to look at, okay, so what do I need to work on? So I can select the vertices here, and some of the things that I can toggle to help me out in both sides is, for now, right, for now, before I kind of halve it, I can say give it a symmetry. So in this case, this would be the Z, object Z. So what's going to happen is you can tell that whatever selection I've made, it will happen here. And if I were to move it, things will be affected at the opposite end as well. So this works roughly the same as instance, except that there are some things that in terms of symmetry may not work as well as having a real instance object. Right, and if we ever encounter that particular problem, I will again highlight it and show it to you guys. Okay, so next thing to do is really, again, we are just following the shape. Right, and if it's slightly a little bit over, that is totally fine. It's not going to kill, it's not going to be a deal breaker. Alright, so I'm just going to move this downwards. Right, and as you can tell, even though I was following, but it's not going to be 100% precise, and like I said, it's totally fine. And okay, so again here, move it down a little bit. So essentially I'm just moving the vertices. Okay, so perhaps somewhat like that, and this one, I'm just going to move it closer, right? Later on, I can always increase the divisions to kind of make the shape a little bit better. So just looking from the fully shaded view, we have kind of the general shape already for the mouse, right? So what I can do next is really, I'm just going to select all of this. Okay, so select once and shift selects the other end so that it will select the entire loop. Okay, and again, I'm just going to go back to my X-ray mode. Go to my front view, which is again in this case my side, and I'm gonna extrude. So again, extrude can be found from, I believe, mesh tools or edit mesh. Yeah, extrude. Okay, or Control E. Okay, I'm just gonna use the shortcut key from now onwards. Just hit Control E, or if you wish to, you can always shift right mouse button and go to extrude face. Totally works the same face as well. So I'm just gonna move it upwards. Okay. So as I move it upwards, I will need to fix all the positioning. Okay, so again, as you can tell, after every single operation, I will kind of make sure that the positions are right. And for something like this, even though I know that there is going to be some kind of spacing for the clicking of the mouse, again, I'm not going to be too particular in how this thing is going to pan out, because later on I can create this space later on. Okay, more importantly, I need to make sure the um, the shape retains, right? Okay, so again, if if this is going to be a curve, again, it's not going to be a deal breaker. Later on, we can increase the division and insert edge loop using the multi-cut or the insert edge loop tool. We can set that up very quickly. Okay. Okay, so again, from the top view, if you have the actual product in the perspective view, is a lot easier to look at, opposed to trying to figure out how it's going to look like. Okay, so if you have that image, it would be helpful to have it. Okay, so I'm just going to move this and maybe around here. Okay, so very likely, again, based on the image, I'm gonna again go back to the front view. Okay, and it's always good to save your file every so often. So I'm just gonna save my file here first. Okay, gonna call this the PC mouse. Okay, so okay, let me go back to this. All right. Okay, extrude again, and again I'm using my move tool to extrude instead of the regular gizmo tool like this one, because this will make it a little bit bigger. So I prefer to use the move tool to move it up. It's a lot quicker that way. So going back to my front view. Okay, so this is going to be the top. All right. So again, I'm just going to bring it up and fix the position. And it's probably going to be a little bit, time consuming to kind of fix the position. But again, this will help us nail down the shape of the objects. All right, so this is going to be somewhere there. I'm just going to move this downwards, somewhere there. All right. Okay, so on the side view, it's going to look fine, but of course, if I have the front view, then I will be able to tell how much it curves in. Hence, which is why it's always good to have this fixed. And if you see what I mean, I can go to the right view or the front view here. I can tell what's going on. So as you can tell, I'm just switching between the views. So in this case, if I can even set this as a two-side, where I have the top view as well as the side view. So let's say, for example, again, X-ray. Okay, so from here I can tell exactly what is going on. Okay, the front and the side view. Okay, so again, sometimes it's good to have the three views simultaneously. But again, if you're not able to capture the information, a lot of times we will just kind of try to look for even more images, or try to figure out whether what we are doing is going to be correct. So in this case, probably it's going to be looking like this. Okay, and again, I'm just fixing the shape. So if you recall, we have some kind of a dent in there, right? So later on, I can fix that. But for now, like the side here, as well as here, I'm just going to create a space in between, and later on I will just kind of fix the space. So from here I'm just going to go to bevel edge. Okay, so immediately you can tell that I can create that fairly quickly, and from here I can just kind of check whether if that is good enough. Okay, so from here probably I also will set one right there. Okay, so I'm just gonna bevel edge again. So shift right mouse button, bevel edge. Okay, and from here again, just kind of you know, think whether if again, make the best judgment on whether if that is necessary, or if it is enough or not. Right, so okay, so from here, next thing to do is to set up the kind of extrude inwards there. So what's going to happen is I'm going to select this, all right, and actually it will extend all the way inwards, right? So in fact, before I do the extruding, okay, I need to make sure that which are the areas that is going to be, you know, slowly opening up into a much bigger gap here, right? So from here, I'm gonna go to again to my side view here. So I probably can tell that, yeah, okay, so it's probably gonna start off from here. So something around here will be much lesser. Okay, so actually I think I would prefer to kind of move this down. Okay, move this up. Okay, and likewise, this would needs to move up a little bit, and actually move it like that. Okay. It seems a little bit perfect, I guess. Again, let me just make sure the shape kind of retains what it is. Okay, so likewise for these guys. Alright, I want to move it up a little bit more. Okay, so as mentioned, I'm not trying to be 100% precise. Really the idea is to make sure that the things that I'm trying to project, the visuals that I'm trying to project is correct. So in this case, this would be the mouse clicker, and again, I'm just gonna move it to where the spots are. Okay, so all right, so okay, so I think I kind of messed up here a little bit. Okay, so that's fair enough. Okay, so the first one, which is the side here. So I can actually start creating the details here, or you know, I can actually work on the clicker part. So clicker part being, if let's say, let me hide the model. Let me create a new layer. So create layer from selected. So I'm just going to call this the PC mouse geo. Okay, this means this is the geometry. Okay, so I'm just going to hide this. So essentially, let me turn off the grid as well. So essentially what I mean is this line here that I probably will need to create. Okay, so from here, let me just take a closer look at the image. So okay, so this is going to extend all the way to the end here. All right, so this is essentially what I'm going to do. Okay, so shift, and then I'm just going to go to multi-cut tool. Okay. So what's going to happen is I'm going to just hold down my control key so that it goes into a loop. Okay, so depending on if you mouse over the horizontal division, so you can tell that right now this is going to be a vertical loop, and if I mouse over a vertical division, the edge there, right, so it's going to create a horizontal loop, right? So I'm just going to go in really close and click on it. Okay. All right, so once I have that, I'm just going to look at some other things. So if I go to the top view again, I will know that I will need to kind of create, this line here. Okay. So in fact, before I actually cut that, this would be a much easier way to do it. So after you undo it, right? Oops. Okay, so after you have undo the cut, if you recall, I made that cut, right? That loop cut. Okay, if you recall the loop cut there, okay, right in the middle. Okay, so just kind of undo it. So click on this to undo. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to my top view because essentially I prefer to do this cutting first. So I'm just going to cut from here. So I'm just going to cut once and okay, so this is going to be okay, so it's going to be a little bit of problem. Okay, simply because this point here is going to be essentially not going to help too much. So I'm just going to move. I'm just going to move the whole thing. So double click on the edge here, right? And you can kind of move it across, right? Or what you can do is with the edges selected, right? With these edges selected, you can go to Shift right mouse button. You have something called the slide edge tool. So if you select the slide edge tool, it says drag with middle mouse and slide. So you kind of click your middle mouse and drag, so you can tell that it starts to slide across. Okay, so some people prefer to use this again because this does not align, so it doesn't look very easy to read. So at times I prefer to kind of align it, something like that. Okay. All right. So with this, what you can potentially do is, if you want it to be a little bit more centered, you can always move it this way, so that you kind of have this in the half and the so that you have enough space to do the cutting. Again, as I've mentioned, we are not looking for 100% accuracy. So to me, this is good enough to kind of do my cuts. So I'm just going to shift right mouse and do a multi-cut. So I'm just going to cut from here and here. And if you can tell, right now it's not going to allow me to cut like that, simply because of the symmetry. You can tell that it's not, sometimes it's not going to help. So right mouse button to end off, and if let's say it doesn't help, just remember you can always turn the geometry off. I think in previous version there was some pretty bad difficulties in doing these cuts to the middle, or from the middle itself doesn't allow you to cut it. So yeah, so click on this point and then to the center point, okay, and right click to end off. So actually, again, I'm just going to undo this for the time being, and the reason being, I think might be a good idea to kind of loop it here first, so that I can have some additional points to kind of help to create a shape. Okay, so down here is a little bit of a mess, so I'm just going to take a look at the back there to see what is going on. And at times, if the X-ray is going to be interfering with what you see, just turn it off. Right. So from here, I can tell. This is probably not what I like to see. Okay, so from here I can tell, okay, so this is a little bit sharp, so I'm just going to move it across. Okay, and probably should move the entire thing across. Okay, and maybe this point as well. So anything that helps with fixing the shapes, and you can tell I'm trying to give it a more even distribution, right? Okay, so once I have that shape, at least a much better view of the shape itself, okay, so then I can start to make my cuts. And again, I'm just trying to make sure that these surfaces would look a little bit better. Okay, so I'm just going to select the entire shape here, as well as this and this. Oops. Let me just make sure this US. Okay, so I can move this up a little bit. Okay, and as well as this point. Okay, so something like this. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure. Because it's supposed to be curved down, right? Okay, so from here, then I can start to make the cut. So going to my top view, shading, X-ray. Okay, so as you can tell that it's not fully centered, right? So that is totally fine. And of course, if you want to, at this point of time, you want to make it a little bit more centered, you can always turn off that. Right, so that is selected already. So if you need to do that, that is totally fine. But just remember, if you are doing that, just take note of making sure that your model still fits correctly, or if you need to make changes, please make that necessary change. Okay, so from here, this is a little bit more centered, and if it is not, you can always make that same adjustment. So let me just make that adjustment. Okay, so I'm not gonna be too worried about it. Okay, so from here, multi-cut. So I'm just gonna cut from here, here, okay, and then this corner to there. And if you recall what we did to create a hole, right? So cutting it from here to there, okay, from center and to the corner, okay, if you recall what we did. And I'm going to move this, right, to kind of turn it into a kind of capsule shape, right? So, and then okay, so this is essentially to create, to plan out where the whale is going to be fitted in. All right, and from here, of course, we need to create that line across, right? So potentially, we can just use a multi-cut. So I'm just going to cut one that is really, really tiny. Okay, something along those lines. That will do. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of this. Oops. as well as that. Okay, and also if you need to, okay, so I'm just going to select this first and I'm going to extrude. So this will show you how I would do the extrude, because if you look at the image here, there is a border here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude. Okay, Control E. As you can tell, I got this thing pop in, right? So instead of moving anything, I'm just going to use the scale tool. Okay. Okay, let me see if I have selected other faces by mistake. Okay, so it doesn't seem to be that way. I think I know. The gizmo or this axis is not going to be centered simply because of the symmetry. So now if I turn that off, it should be centered. So with this, I would be able to kind of use the 2D scaling to create that fairly quickly. Okay, so if not, what you can do, you can also use this and then just click on that, and you can kind of click at the ends there, and it should be the same. Okay, but of course down here you would they will give you some issues. So from here, just kind of make sure that you need to move it out. Okay, something like that. All right. Okay, so essentially what we are planning to create is to kind of make sure that there's enough lines when we do a extrude, right? Essentially when we do the extrude, it should be there should be enough space for it and enough divisions for it to move. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to Object Z again. Okay, so I'm just going to align this a little bit better. Okay. All right, so next thing we're going to do is we are going to, again, based on this image here, okay, we are going to extrude inwards. Okay, you can tell that there's probably something going on there. So essentially what we are seeing is from here, circles around and there, right? So I'm just going to go to the top view to make that selection. So X-ray again, okay, shading, X-ray. So it's somewhere around there. So from here you can either do another cut if you want to be precise. If not, you can always pull this back, like this entire loop. You can just kind of push it back a little bit. Okay, so from here, as mentioned, we are not looking for anything particularly 100%. So this is what we are going to do. Okay, so I'm just going to select that, and let's select this middle, because essentially this would have that clicking thing, right? So in fact, this would be also be involved, since this is the thickness part where it's going to come in here. Okay, so with that selected, right, I'm going to hit my extrude, Control E, or again Shift right mouse button, extrude face, right? So I'm going to use this button here. So as you can tell, it starts to go inwards. Okay, so again, I'm going to turn off the X-ray so that I can see better. Okay, so you can tell that now with this I can push it in, or kind of push it in a little bit. Okay, and then from this one, I'm just going to select all this. Right, I'm going to hit extrude again, right? And this time around, I'm just gonna do an offset, if you will. Okay, so this is offset. Sometimes the offset might, get a little bit crumply here. So this is a part where you see there are overlaps. You need to fix it. Okay, so once I do that, let me just go ahead and fix this. Okay, so you can tell. Again, it's good to fix all these problems as before things starts getting really weird. Okay, so again, just kind of move it up. So now, there you go. Right, so so on this last part here, you can tell that this is going to be a hole in there to house the wheel. All right. Okay, so if this is not enough, you can always, scale it in a little bit more. Okay, and as you scale in, just remember to fix the shape. Okay, so various way to fix the shape, right? Okay, then from here, I can do another extrude, and this time around I'm just gonna push it in, and this would be the one that is gonna house the wheel. Okay. And the next thing that we are going to do is to, if you recall, there's the clicker part, and this is where we are going to set that, and all the way to the back, right? Including this, right? So okay, so in fact, looking at this, you can tell there's a sort of a thickness here, right? And I might need to create one more, so I'm just going to select this entire loop. Okay, you can tell that it's kind of strokes from down here. We can do it in a few ways. Like for example, I can even remove this. So let's say I'm just going to select that. Okay. If you simply remove it by backspace, okay, if I go to the vertex mode, you can tell that there are some hanging vertices. We call this hanging vertices because the vertices are still there, but it's not doing anything. So this is not a very good cleaning mechanism. So in fact, what we really want to do is to hold down your control and backspace. Holding down your control and backspace will remove all the components. Okay. So from here, what we can do is we can use a multi-cut tool. Okay, click on here, click there. And what's going to happen is I can use the, with the multi-cut tool still activated, I can hold down the control and create something like that. Okay, so that it kind of creates that thickness that is necessary. Okay, so I'm just gonna select that. Oops. Probably I'm just going to fix some of the shape as we go along. Okay, so again, once you got the thickness ready, you can start to work on it. So from here, okay, so from here what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude, okay, and push it inwards. Okay, so as you can tell, there's some problems going on here, right? So again, I'm not too worried about it because I can fix that potentially. Okay, so once I have created that, right? Next thing that I would want to do is select this piece here, right? This is what we call the overlapping faces. You can tell that, right, the half the face is being displayed. So I'm just going to remove it by backspace and select this piece as well and backspace. So reason being, I'm going to move this entire piece, right, all the way in so that it matches up to here. Okay, so as it matches here, the next thing that we would want to do is go into the wireframe mode by pressing 4, right, and then go to the vertex mode. So you can tell that these two vertices will probably need to merge, right? Okay, likewise for this one, okay, these two. So with those 4 vertices selected, shift right mouse button, merge vertices, merge vertices. Okay. So now if I go back to shaded mode by pressing 5, you can tell that now that it's merged, you can also test the vertex, whether if there's any tearings. Okay, so once that is done, pretty much you have something like that, right? Of course, it's not going to be perfect as right now we will need to, of course, look through some other potentially if the shape is going to look strange or weird, we can potentially work on that later on. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to do is this piece here, right? And for this piece, it's going to be extrude as well. So I'm just going to extrude, and I am going to extrude inwards. Okay, just a little bit there. Okay, extrude inwards. And for the wheel itself, in this case, you can just create a cylinder. Okay, rotate it, say to 90 degrees. Alright, and we are going to move it to where this part is, right? So from here we can see some patterns, right? So we can recreate those patterns fairly simply. Okay, so but before that, what we want to do is we want to make sure the radius is correct. Okay, and then the height, okay, somewhere there. Perhaps this is too big. Okay, so somewhere around there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a subdivision height. So I can do that, right? So I would have something like that, right? One of the things that I prefer to do as well is to create a subdivision cap of at least 2. Okay, so this is to kind of at least give me some leeway when I make that selection. Else, selecting, it doesn't allow me to potentially try to select things if it is a triangle, but so long that if let's say I need to select face, I can shift double click to do that, but on the triangle, it's not going to be possible at all. Okay, so once that is settled, right, the next thing that we want to do is to kind of know, in this case, how many divisions there are. Okay, this is because we are going to create one pattern here, right? And then we are going to redistribute it. So in this case, I'm going to go to the top view. Okay, so probably I'm going to do this. Actually, don't go back. Let me go back to the top view to take a look. Okay, so it's somewhere around here, at the 3/4 mark. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a multi-cut. So let's say, okay, so this likely would be row, sorry, not row X. Object Z, no. Interesting. Okay, so in any way, I'm just gonna create a cut from here. Just make sure. Okay, so it will be somewhere around there. Just gonna cut, and from here, I'm just gonna cut again. Alright, of course, if you want to, you can try to be as accurate as you would want, but I don't think that is necessary. And if I look at this, I'm going to understand that it might not be enough. So instead of 20, I'm just going to set it to 40, right? But again, do not worry, we are just going to do alternate. So right now, if I do a multi-cut, okay, so this is 40, so likely it will be 60. Okay, something along these lines. And of course, from here, I can do something like that, and then middle and corner, right? And from here, I select the 2 points or the 4 points, and I'm going to turn off the symmetry. Okay, and move it that way, right? Okay, so before I kind of scale that, I'm going to multi-cut again from here. Okay, 20. Actually, let me turn that back on. Okay, 20, 40, and cut. Here, the corner. Okay, I'm going to do the same here as well. And as you can tell, I'm just only doing half because later on I'm just going to kind of duplicate it. So again, 20, 40, middle, corner. Okay, so now I'm going to select all the vertices there. Okay, again, just to make sure that I'm able to scale it correctly, I'm just going to do this. Okay, and then this should be correct. Okay. Alright, so once that is done, next thing, of course, if I again look at the image there, close enough, you can see that it is indent. Alright, so that's what we are going to do. So I'm just going to select the faces, and I'm going to create that indent. Okay, so once that is created, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just go to the front view and effects, let's turn on symmetry again. Oops. Okay, I'm gonna remove it by backspace. Okay, So some things here again that I need to remove. Okay, so leaving that, backspace again, and obviously this one I'm going to retain the center so that later on if I need to move the pivot point, at least I know where to move it. Okay, so I would have something like this. So the next thing that I will need to do is to kind of, as you know, I can just kind of rotate it, right? So, so right now, I can create a duplicate special, okay, and reset the settings. Okay, so, okay, maybe this should be, not too sure, 12 pieces, and I'm gonna rotate. This would be the Z rotation. Okay, so let's see, 30. Looks like it's too much. Okay, so let's see, 10. It looks like it's the. Okay, give me a minute. Okay, so let's see. This would be. Okay, so let me do a double check. Okay. Okay, so before I do that, I think I missed out a couple of things here. So the face here, I need to remove it. Likewise for the opposite side, you can tell that there's a face there. Okay, so remove that. And based on this angle, I'm just gonna click that so you can tell it's quite close. Okay, there's definitely some things going on. Okay, so let me put this 9. Okay. All right. So once you have this, pretty much what you can do is select all the objects. Okay. Shift right mouse button, combine, and I'm going to select all the vertices here. And shift right mouse again to go to merge vertices. But do remember you need to select the vertices first, else it's not going to show. Okay, so distance merge, this is what it's going to be. So once you're happy with it, just click the pointer tool again and then do a check whether if it is tearing. Okay, so seems all good. And there's another way to check is by pressing number 3. Okay, so by pressing number 3, this is going to give you a smooth preview, and pretty much this would look very much like what you would see on the wheel itself, right? Of course, there are some things that I have not done. So for example, I can do a multi-cut tool to make this wheel a little bit to hold the ship a little bit better. Definitely I could possibly create a little bit more over there as well. Okay, so of course, aside from there, some things that I have not done is, for example, Okay, so like for example, all these lines here, all these edges, potentially I can move it up a little bit so that it will give the shape a little bit looking like the image. Okay, so some of this I could potentially do it at the very much earlier beginning, right? So if I push that, right, I can start pushing that, so you can start to see that there is this little thing going about, right? Okay, so in any case, once you're happy with that, let me just select that, and okay, so actually before I do that, okay, so let me just so again, I forgot to make sure that the opposite side is created. So just kind of want to make sure that it's created throughout. Okay, it doesn't. Okay, so that's fine. I can always create half of it and duplicate the other half. So essentially, I want to create a few of this. Reason being, I can give it a much better I'm just going to pull this out, give it a little kind of beveled kind of look. Okay, so I can even pull it out a little bit more. And let me just select the see if this works. Yep. Okay, so let's say something along those lines, and just gonna quickly go to the top view. Just gonna select that, remove it, and if you recall what we need to do, we only need to duplicate, okay, because it's over there already, so I'm just gonna do a -1 over there. So these two now combine, go to vertex and select everything in the middle, merge vertices. Okay, so yeah. Alright, so I'm just gonna move this guy downwards. Right, so yeah. And of course, if need be, I can always check. So maybe it's a little bit on the top there. Again, like I said, we are not trying to make this an absolute precise looking objects, but this would do fine. And as well, for if you want to create again the wiring, to be honest, it's quite simple. So for example, I can select all this these faces. Okay, I'm gonna do an extrude. Okay, and I'm gonna do an offset. So you can tell by offsetting, this is gonna. Okay, so maybe I'll offset like that. Okay, and scale it across. And of course, as you scale it, things in the middle is gonna get squished. So I'm just gonna move it out. Again, using the scale tool, move it out. Right. and move this in, right? And from here, potentially you can just kind of set this up. Okay, so once you get that round shape, you can extrude again, right? Make it a little bit smaller. Extrude one more time and bring it out. Right, and from here, all you need to do is just to add some divisions. Right, so if you want to make it look like it's a little bit soft, so say insert edge loop. Actually, just going to go to insert edge loop options. Make sure that the use multiplier, maybe 4, and click on it. Okay, so now I have, so this will help me to make the, say, chord a little bit softer, if I will. So for example, oops, just turn that off. Okay, so select all of that, kind of move it down, move it down. Okay, and most of the time I would kind of, oops, align it. Okay, so something like that. Okay, so yep, this is how you would create the mouse, and of course, at the end of the day, we want to delete history. Okay, delete history, edit, delete by type history. Okay, so just one thing to take note: if you use the number 3 key to do a smooth preview, 1 would be the default mode. Okay, all right. So that's all for creating a mouse model. All right. Hope you guys are able to create the models and maybe add a little bit more details to it. All right. Thanks for watching.